Hello BookTube, Sarah here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm coming to you with my weekly reads for December 2nd, 2017. Happy Vlogmas Day 2 everybody. So in this video I'm going to talk about the books that I finished this week as well as the books that I am currently reading. So first of all, before I get started, just let me have a quick sip of my tea if you don't mind. Is this mug not awesome? I absolutely love it. I just picked it up at Walmart this morning. I had a hard time finding it. They have a set of 4, and 2 of them are like, they're all like based on ugly sweaters. So 2 of them are like more of like a Fair Isle, like that kind of an ugly sweater. One is a reindeer. Garrett wanted the reindeer, but they didn't have any. And then this one I found way shoved in the back. Like it was like the last one. I'm like, it must come home with me. So it's just too cute with his little hands and everything. The tea I'm drinking is from my David's Tea Advent Calendar, which is up there somewhere, I can't point. And it's today's tea, December 2nd's tea, and it is a chocolate macaroon, and it's really good. I've never tried it before, but I really do like it. So I am super pleased with that. And yeah, so let's jump into the books that I read this week. So as usual, I will talk about these books in the order that I read them in. So the first book was Rescue My Heart by Jill Shalvis. This was narrated on audio by Karen White. Oh, before I continue on, I had a question from Alana last week. Or Alana, I'm sorry if I say your name incorrectly, last week, and she was asking what speed I read my audiobooks at. Depends on what time of the month it is. If it's earlier in the month and I have lots of time, like I have the whole month to get through an audiobook, typically 1.75 speed. If it's the end of the month and I'm rushing to finish a book because I still have a couple more audiobooks to listen to, which tends to happen, it's usually at 2 times speed. When I first started listening to audiobooks way back when, I listened to them at 1 speed, like at normal speed. And that's fine. But I read relatively quickly. And, you know, I thought, oh, I wonder if I could speed it up just a little bit. And I started to do that. And so I went to like 1.25. And then I eventually sped up to 1.5. And then I hit on 1.75. It seems like a good number because it gets you through a book relatively quickly. And I mean, speed isn't the object. It's not, you're not meant to finish a book. It's to see how quickly you can finish it. You're meant to enjoy it. And I find at that speed, it's still really easy for me to be able to follow the story. And it's quick enough that I don't feel like it's dragging. And it's funny now, I tried to go back and start listening to something at 1 time speed, and it was painful. I couldn't do it. It was just like, and then and I'm like, speed it up. So I really do like it at 1.75. It's a good speed. It's not Alvin and the Chipmunks, and it's not Molasses. So, you know, it's right in the middle. So I hope that answers your question. Back to the book. The Rescue My Heart is book number 3 in the Animal Magnetism series. I'm so happy to be getting through this series. I just absolutely love it. I gave it 4 stars. This book has an average rating on Goodreads of 4.10 stars. And I got 3 challenges done out of this one. So the first one was for the Triple RC challenge for November, and it was for challenge number 9, which was Make Your Own Head Day, which was essentially read a book that the characters don't have heads on the cover. And as you can see, they went through this whole thing. I don't know if it's still a thing, where they like cut off like the main characters' heads, like this whole thing in romance or just in book covers in general. I don't get it. So obviously it fit the category. The second one was for the Candyland Quarterly Challenge, and it was for task number 18, and that is Molasses Swamp. A swamp of molasses with brown popsicle plants. Read a book set in a swampy area, for example, Louisiana, or a book that has a body of water in the story or on the cover. This one had it in the story. I do not want to give away any spoilers, but something happens towards the end that involves water, and it's kind of a crucial turning point to the book. So I'll just say that. And then the last challenge that I got for this one was for 1 million more pages, which is the KMMP challenge, and it's for week number 4. And this one it's based on a radio station kind of idea, and we're given a list of songs. Each week is a different genre, and depending on, and like you can go through and find which book you want to read that goes with that song kind of idea. So for week number 4, it was punk was the category, and the song's called She's a Beauty by a group called The Tubes. I've never heard of this group or that song. I didn't listen to punk music, to be fair. And the challenge is to read a book by a female author. Easy peasy. I love this book, guys. I just adore Jill Shalvis's work to begin with. This one was really good. It was about Holly and Adam, and they had a relationship. It's a second chance romance. They had a relationship when they were younger, and he got into some trouble with the law and ended up enlisting in the Marines. And he served, I think, 2 tours in Afghanistan. And he's now back, and he does search and rescue, and he trains search and rescue dogs, which is how he fits into the whole series is based around this animal hospital or veterinary clinic in a little town called Sunshine, Idaho. And Holly moved to town when she was in high school. She is the daughter of a very rich man, and they have their own kind of company. And her father ends up going missing at the very beginning. Not missing, I shouldn't say that. He sometimes goes and treks out into the wilderness and spends days out there, but you're usually able to get in touch with him. She hadn't been able to get in touch with him, so she kind of panicked. So she enlisted Adam to help her find him. So that's the bulk of the story, and it's really, really good. I really enjoyed it. Great story. I loved Holly and Adam, and of course I love seeing the other characters like Brody and Lila from the first book, and Jade and Dell. I can never remember his name. Jade and Dell from the second book. So yeah, I mean, these are not books you necessarily have to read in order, but I just think I read everything in order. That's just my thing. And I really do like it. This book did get hot and steamy, as Jill Shalvis is known for, so keep that in mind. There's also swearing, so it might not be appropriate for everybody, but if you like a good steamy contemporary romance, I could not recommend Jill Shalvis enough. So the next book that I finished was Nanny Makes 3 by Joan Kilby. I gave this book 3 stars. It has an average rating on Goodreads of 3.20 stars. I got 2 challenges done out of this one. The first one was for the October 1st to 2017 to September 30th, the Connection Challenge. I should just say the Connection Challenge, which is where you're connecting one book to another. And this is my 5th book for that challenge. I gave myself a goal of 16. And what I love is that I can up that challenge if I need it. I can just go to the next level. So yeah. The second one was also for the Candyland Quarterly Challenge. It was for task number 13, which was Candy Castle. The location the players are attempting to reach. Read a book set in a castle or has a castle or any type of dwelling on the cover. I have like 5 more of these I have to get to complete the entire thing. When I first decided to do the quarterly challenge, I only set myself up for 15 books. I need 3 more as of right now to finish all 30, plus the 6 bonus. So pretty awesome. I was looking at some other people's, and one woman completed the entire thing using the in-depth series by J.D. Robb, except for one book. She found one of those books that fit every single one of these categories. So anyway, this one was a bit of a stretch. If you look at that cover way in the background, there's like a barn. That's a dwelling. I'm counting it. Like I said, I desperately am trying to fit some books into these slots. And I'm actually at the point now, like, I don't purposely pick books for these types of challenges. I like to just read what I'm going to be reading anyway, and then try and fit stuff in. But now that I'm so close to the end, and this ends on the 15th of December, I'm actually now looking for books to slot into these last few categories that I need. So anyway, this book was okay. I gave it 3 stars. It's a Harlequin super romance. Like, not that there's anything wrong with that. You guys know I love my Harlequin books. This one was set in Australia, and it was an interesting premise. It was an insta-love, which I tend to not be a huge fan of. It starts off with this woman, and she's kind of flighty, kind of doesn't know what direction she wants her life to go, and she wants to do, quote-unquote, something big. And she's driving back home to her parents' place, and she runs across this woman and her 2 children, who are, like, walking along the side of the road carrying grocery bags. Well, stuff comes out that it turns out that this woman is being abused by her husband and the children. So there is spousal and child abuse talked about in this book. So forewarning for anyone who might have an issue with that. But she ends up, these people end up hiding out in this cottage on this property. Well, for them not to be found, she ends up taking a job as the nanny. It's this whole roundabout thing, so she can kind of keep them hidden. And the entire story takes place like that. The bulk of the story takes place over like the course of like a single week. And of course, a relationship ensues between her and the father of the little girl that she's been the nanny for, which is very unprofessional in my opinion. I'm just kidding. That's usually the way these romance novels work. But yeah, I mean, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was average. It was an enjoyable read. The next book that I finished was The Silenced by Heather Graham. This was narrated on audio by Phil Giante. I'm a little disappointed. Up until this point, Luke Daniels was narrating all the Crew of Hunters books, and now they've changed to this gentleman. Now, I'm disappointed because I liked Luke Daniels, and I was used to him. But I think it was, oh my gosh, I'm going to totally draw a blank right now. Jen from Today's in Jen's Library. She made a comment on one of her weekly reads videos, or her Friday reads videos, that when a narrator's really good, you forget the narration in a way. Like, do you know what I mean? You can just concentrate on the story and not necessarily the way the person is speaking. And you know what? I found that with him. I was able to, you know, just enjoy the story for what it was. So he did a good job. This is Crew of Hunters book number 15 in the series. The other thing I didn't realize when I made my TBR for November was that there is a novella that comes before this book, and I just did not have time to get to it in November. So my plan is I'm going to read it in January, or if I have time at the end of December, I might kick it in. It's like a 3 or 4 hour long audiobook. I should be able to get through it in like an hour and a bit or something like that. So I'm going to put that on in January maybe and just quickly get it listened to before I go on to book 16. Even though it comes between book 14 and 15, but it is, you can read it as a standalone, so that's not a problem. I gave this book 3.5 stars, and it has an average rating of 4.04 stars on Goodreads. I got 2 challenges done out of this one. The first one, the Triple RC November Monthly Challenge for challenge number 6, which was Occult Day, which was Read a Paranormal. And then the other one was for the Candyland Quarterly Challenge. This got me the last of the bonus tasks, which was to read a book with an orange cover. I think that fits, to be completely honest. So yeah, this was not my favorite of the Crew of Hunters books, but I did really enjoy it. It was about a woman named Meg who has just graduated from the FBI Academy, and her best friend Laura goes missing. She gets this kind of cryptic phone call at like 2 o'clock in the morning saying that their friend is leaving town and, you know, she'll talk to her later, and then she cannot get in touch with her at all. The friend worked for a congressman, so a lot of political stuff is kind of in this. It takes place in, of course, Washington, D.C., Virginia, Gettysburg, and, of course, there's ghosts, ghosts from the soldiers at Gettysburg, as well as, you know, other spirits and stuff like that. So pretty much the whole thing is them trying to find this friend, but in the meantime, all these bodies are turning up. Now, the reason I had an issue with this is, even though I read the book, I still don't understand why the other bodies, like these other people, were killed. I get the story with Laura going missing and what happened with that whole part of it, but then there was almost like this second part where these women were being murdered, and I didn't get the connection. I still don't get the connection, but c'est la vie, it was still a really good story. It was very creepy and very well written, and you know I love these books, and December is going to be the first month in well over a year that I haven't read a Crew of Hunters book. I've decided to strictly keep it to nothing but Christmas books for the month of December, so I'll jump back into these books come January. The next book I finished is probably my least favorite book I have read. I read the whole month, so spoiler alert for my wrap-up. That is Marrying the Virgin Nanny by Teresa Southwick. This is the first book in the Nanny Network series. I gave it 2.5 stars, so I didn't DNF it, but I didn't far from love this book. It has an average rating on Goodreads of 3.59 stars, so it could just be me. And I got 1 challenge for this, and this was, again, the Connections Challenge, and this was challenge number 6. Spot number 6 on that challenge. Yeah, I had a hard time with this one. It's about a woman who was abandoned as a child, and she was left on the doorstep of a child care home, and it's run by nuns. She was never adopted out. And she was actually going to become a nun, which is where the whole virgin nanny thing comes into play. And she ends up going to work for this man. He's a billionaire. It takes place in Las Vegas. You know, he lives in the penthouse, and he paid off, like, the woman who he got pregnant, essentially. She didn't want the baby, and she was going to do what she wanted to do to get rid of it. Well, he didn't want to do that, which is admirable. I like that. But he essentially paid her off. Have the baby. He gave her $1 million and told her to go. So, okay, whatever. But now he has no idea how to care for this child. So he's bringing nannies in to pretty much raise the child for him, which I don't agree with. A nanny, and I was a nanny for a number of years, our job is to go in, or their job is to go in and look after the child while the parent is at work or maybe running errands. But essentially, he wanted someone to look after this child 24/7. He wanted to interact and play with it, but leave the hard work to somebody else. No. She would only come in she would only work for him for 6 weeks. She said that was her thing. She didn't want to get too attached, to the children and stuff. And in my opinion, if that's what you're concerned about, perhaps you should consider a different line of work. If you're worried about getting attached to the kids, then why are you a nanny? A lot of the things in the story just didn't make sense to me, and it was just like there's these huge plot holes that you could drive a car into. So then he decides that he wants to keep her around, so he pays her to marry him. I'm pretty sure there was a movie on that. It was called Indecent Proposal. I didn't like the movie either, but that's the whole premise. And then he marries her, and blah blah blah. And there's a scene at the end of the book that just infuriated me. That she left. I can't even remember the characters' names at this point because I've just tried to erase this book from my memory. And I'm really disappointed too because Teresa Southwick is a great author. It's just this story, I didn't like it at all. And anyway, so she leaves, but the baby is being left with this other woman who works for the nanny network. And he comes in and she's like, well, do you want to know where she went or all these things? And Brody, I think his name is, or something like that, or Hunter or whatever, I don't know. Brody was the kid. No, Brady was the kid. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. He says to this woman who works with her, he's like, well, I'm paying her to look after my son. Where is she? No, you married her. And you proceeded to sleep with her a couple times during the course of the book. Oh. And then, of course, everything's hunky-dory at the end. I think he should have groveled a lot more, but he did not. But whatever. I read it. It's done. It was for a challenge. I'm never disappointed in reading a book. I'm disappointed in books themselves. I mean, these do not take me very long. If this had been a 1,000-page book and I would have DNF'd it. But, I just thought it's not that long. It's a little over 200 pages. I do like my Harlequin books. This one was a dud. And the last book that I finished this week was Kristy and the Walking Disaster by Ann M. Martin. This is book number 20 in the Babysitters Club series. I gave it 3.5 stars, and it has an average rating on Goodreads of 3.85 stars. No, 3.48 stars, excuse me. This was a cute one in the Babysitters Club. Christy decides to start a ragtag softball team for the local kids who are either too young or don't have the skills to join Little League. It features baseball, the babysitters. This, to be completely honest, now Christy is not my favorite babysitter. Out of all of them, her and Jessie, when I get to their books, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, I'll read them because they're part of the series, but they're not my favorites. But this cover, I don't know what it is, that cover is one of my favorites in the entire series. I just love how individualized the kids are. The artist, I cannot remember his name, he did all the covers of the Babysitters Club books, and I actually follow him on Instagram, and he does some amazing artwork, but I adore that cover so much. But yeah, absolutely really enjoyed this story. It took me a little bit longer to read because I wasn't reading as much at night, but I'm really trying to get back into that habit now, so starting back again in January, I will be going back. I will be starting at book number 21 in the series, so stay tuned for that. And what am I currently reading? So my current audiobook is Miracle on Fifth Avenue by Sarah Morgan. This is book number 3, that many is 3, in the From Manhattan with Love series. This is being narrated on audio by Jennifer Woodward. She's doing a good job. Evie, which is the main character, is very much, I want to say, a Marilyn Monroe type individual. She's very sultry. She's got that higher pitched voice, blonde hair, blue-eyed, short little, thing. And, of course, the voice that the narrator is portraying is a little bit higher pitched. And it's not horrible. It's not, you can't listen to it, but, it's not what I'm used to. But this is the story of Evie and Lucas. And Lucas is a very, very famous author of horror novels, murder mysteries, kind of things. And she doesn't like anything scary. She only tries to look at the good side of life. And she's been hired by his grandmother to fix up his apartment for Christmas. Now, 3 years earlier, he lost his wife during the holidays. She died. I haven't gotten to how or why that happened yet. But I know that there's something that, like a catalyst to that whole part of it. And he's just been kind of been under a gray cloud since then. And so she thought that he wasn't going to be there, that he was supposed to be in Vermont writing. But it turns out he was hiding out at the apartment. Then the two of them are now stranded there during a blizzard. So that's where I am now. I'm about 40% of the way through it. I'm really enjoying it. I love, love, love these books so much. And yeah, I'm liking this one. The ebook that I'm currently reading is Breakfast with Santa, and this is by Pamela Browning. This is not part of the series, actually, and this is, I read this book years ago when it came out in 2005, and I really liked it the first time. Now, I have a few issues with it. The whole premise starts off with this man who's an ex-Marine named Tom, and he has kind of been dragged into this by his sister to dress up like Santa Claus for this breakfast with kids, like breakfast with Santa thing at the local, what do you call it? The fire department that the fire department is hosting. So while there, he meets Beth and her son Mitchell. Mitchell is a brat and a half. He's a 5-year-old, and he gets away with murder. Beth lets him just do whatever he wants. Like, there's one scene where she's driving Santa home, or Tom home, and Mitchell's in the back seat just like kicking his seat. And nobody tells him to stop. Nobody tells him like, oh, you know, that's one of those. And I mean, I'm not trying to say anything about anybody's parenting. However you want to parent is your business, but when it affects other people, there's a problem. So yeah, the kid's kind of a brat. But outside of that, it's still a really cute story. It's the relationship between Beth and Tom. So, and it is Christmas. It takes place at Christmas time, of course, and so far I'm really liking it. And speaking of covers I really like, I do find that cover absolutely adorable. And then my last book that I'm currently reading is part of our 24 Days of Christmas Hope read-along that I am doing with Lizzie, or Elizabeth from Lizzie Faye Loves Books. And I am currently reading The Christmas Shoes, and this is by Donna VanLiere. I think I was calling her Donna VanDeLiere for some reason, but it's Donna VanLiere. And as you can see, this is a library book, and it's a physical book. I know, I don't read physical books very often. I'm about 30% of the way through. I just started reading it last night. And tonight I have to get to where that little sticker is. And then I have book number 2, and I have to head off to the library this afternoon because I think 3 more books are in for me to pick up in this series. So I'm only waiting on 3 more. I did order all of them from the library, so I'm just waiting for them to come in. So far, I'm really enjoying it. It's about it's like kind of like 2 stories. It's about this older gentleman. I shouldn't say older. Married with 2 children. He's a lawyer, lives in a big fancy house. He's going through a divorce. Then it's about a young boy whose mother is dying of cancer. And I haven't gotten to the 2 of them meeting yet. I do know the basic premise of the story because I didn't realize this, and I know Elizabeth probably mentioned it. But until I saw another video of hers, I'm like, it clicked in. There's a song that this was based off of. I think the song came first. And then this book came, or vice versa, I don't know. But it's called The Christmas Shoes. Now, I am familiar with the version sung by Alabama. And it's a heart-wrenching Christmas song. Like one of those ones that kind of brings you to tears. So I don't know how I'm going to fare with this one because I love Christmas books. I don't do sad Christmas books. So I'm hoping the rest of them aren't as sad. I mean, I get it's inspirational. I understand that. But, you know, books that are kind of depressing or sad, I'm not so much a fan of. But the writing's really, really good. So, and it's only a short little book. So that's another good thing. So, yeah. If you haven't joined in our read-along, there is still time. We're still only on the first book. The goal is to read a book every 3 days. But if you're catching this later and you still want to join in, please feel free, if you can catch up, or read as many of them as you can. Like if you can't read all of them in December, there's 8 in total, or between the 1st and the 24th. That's fine. Still feel free to join in. So yeah, that's what I'm reading this weekend. And very quickly before I go, as you guys know, I like to show you what I'm knitting on the weekend. And I am going to be working on my blanket because those of you, well, you haven't seen it yet. It'll be going up tomorrow, my first vlog, where I'm vlogging a little bit here and there as my days go and what I'm doing. It's nothing terribly interesting, and they're not going to be terribly long, but every morning I'm showing you guys the tea that I pull from the advent calendar, along with, in this one right here, are my mini skeins. So there are 2 that I've gotten out already. They're up there. So I'm adding more minis to my sock yarn blanket, which I absolutely love this blanket. So I'll be working on this some more this weekend. I will be adding yesterday's, today's, and then I'll be putting in tomorrow's tomorrow. So that's what I will be knitting on this weekend. But yeah, that's about it. I will be going to my work Christmas party tonight, so I'm very excited about that. I found a dress in my closet. Who knew? I have a couple dresses that I bought over the years to go to this Christmas party. And you know what? This year we're not staying super long. I have to get home to take my husband to work. He's not coming with me. I'm actually going with a coworker and his girlfriend. So we're just going to stay for the dinner and, you know, some of the prize drawings and stuff like that. And then we're going to head home. So I didn't want to go and buy a brand new dress. It is fancy. It's at a very fancy place called the Old Mill in Toronto. And it's really, really nice. This is the second year now that they've done it at that location. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to it, but I just didn't see the need to go out and buy something new. I also used to go and get my makeup done and get my hair done, and I'm like, you know what? I can't be bothered. It's for a couple hours. I can't justify spending the money when I have a Sephora store worth of makeup in my bedroom currently. But yes, so for those of you who are watching the vlogs or who will be watching the vlog starting tomorrow, I will have tonight's escapades. What little I can get. I don't know how much filming I'm going to be doing. It's not like I'm going to be sitting there at the table talking to the camera, but I'll try and get some shots of like the place that we're going to be at, and on the drive down, shots of the downtown, all lit up at night. Very, very pretty. Anyway, guys, I'm going to let you go because I've still got some stuff to do today, and I will talk to you all in my next video. Tomorrow, actually. Take care and happy reading, everybody. Bye.